Well, we're in the garage again. Got my junk pile of stuff over there. This is going to add to it. Had to replace a zone valve the other day. A lot of guys think zone valves are kind of complicated for some unknown reason. I have no idea why. It's a simple motor and an end switch, or just like a end switch is, everyone calls it the end switch, and that's what it is, but all it is a normally open contact, and when the contact closes, it applies power to, or it sends power, or closes the contact so the boiler can start. So let's kind of get into it, and we'll do an autopsy on how a zone valve actually works. Okay, we got it out of the box. This is how they usually come in the box. And most of the time, if you guys are changing zone valves on the newer Honeywells, you can just take 2 screws out, one there and one there, and just pop the head off. And when you guys pop the head off, let me take this apart. You gotta kind of wiggle it apart here. Okay. Because the older valves, if you took those 2 screws out on the older Honeywell valves, this whole plate would come off. The new ones don't. So usually if you're replacing the zone valve, you're just going to replace the head. The White Rogers are the same way. There's 2 screws that hold the head on the bottom, so you don't have to take the whole valve body out just to change it. And all this thing is if you look down there, you can see there's a little black plunger. And when I move the little shaft here, that plunger goes in and out. And these are directional. They got to go with flow. If the water's coming this way and the thing shuts off, it'll hammer the lines. The lines will just hammer uncontrollably. So if you look, this is outgoing of the valve, wide open. Incoming of the valve is not really big. Not very big at all. Don't need much flow through these pipes to get heat through the house. And this is a head. Like I said, it pops right off. 2 screws. And you gotta fool with it a little just to get it off. One thing to notice on these zone valves is that they do have a manual actuating lever here. Let's see. And then you can lock it like that. And they come from the factory or a repair part out of the box. They come locked in that position. So when you're soldering, that ball that's in there, that rubber ball, isn't sitting against any copper, and it won't melt. So this valve still works, but it wasn't making the end switch. And the motor still works, it's just the gears are, I think it skipped a gear, and it's not activating the end switch. The end switch is right there. Right there. That's your normally open switch. So when we apply power to TH and TR, TH is thermostat, TR is transformer, that activates the motor. And then what it does is it brings this, it's supposed to bring there's a paddle in here, and this paddle is supposed to activate the end switch like so, but this one has skipped a gear, as you can see, or the lever's bent. Can't tell, but what we'll do is we'll apply power to it, and I'll show you where it's supposed to hit and it's not. That little red switch right there. So let me get some power to it. Okay, I got a transformer. I just got it hot wired into a plug I can plug it into, and what I'll do is I'll plug it in and we'll actuate this motor. We got power, and then I got one wired to TR or TH. This other one is going to be the transformer, and you'll watch the motor move. There goes the motor, and it's supposed to hit that little red switch, but it's not going to. Oh, but this time it did. So when it hits that switch, it closes the contact between these two wires. Maybe I screwed around with the gear down here and I put it back in its place where it should have been, but it was not working. So we're just applying 24 volts to it, getting that motor to move, and then right about there you can hear it click and the end switch should be activated. So what I'll do is I'll get my meter and we can apply power to it and see if it closes the contacts. Okay, I got an old valve and a new valve. Here's my old valve. Here's my new valve. And this, you know, when this thing is all the way open, or actuated all the way, there's no resistance on the manual switch. So I do have 24 volts here. And this end switch right now is closed. I have continuity across it. And what I'll do is I'll unplug that. And now if I check my end switch, I will have nothing. So let's try the other one. So here's my old one, or my new one, there's my old one. Now what we'll do is we'll plug this thing in. And the motor is working, but it gets the end switch, and it makes and it breaks. So the end switch is worn out on this one. When a good valve is working, and you take the wires off and you test for continuity, when that valve is powered, you should have good I should have zero resistance through there. But as you can see, this one is not quite working right. So the way you should wire these up is, say if these were next to each other. Let's get this out of here. So say I got my transformer and I have, just say this is 24 volt hot. This is supposed to go up to the thermostat, and then from the thermostat back down here it should go to TH. TH usually stands for thermostat. So we got a hot wire going up to my thermostat, hot wire coming down to my thermostat, and it goes to TH. That's my power, 24 volts of power for the zone valve. Then this TR goes back to the common of the transformer that completes your circuit. So that's going to actuate your motor. As soon as I have power on this, it should activate this motor. And then once the motor's activated, it closes a switch. Now say if I have two of them wired next to each other, like so, or sitting next to each other on the pipe, so what I can do is each one has a different thermostat, so each one's a different zone. You can use the same hot for both thermostats, so you tie those together and the hot power coming back from each thermostat goes to here. Then you can actually jump this one to this one and use this as a wire nut back to my common. And and your end switches can jump from this valve to this valve to this valve, or and so on. But this is what connects to your aquastat. Say if you did not have any zone valves at all or any end switches, and your thermostat went right to your boiler, this takes the place of the thermostat. This tells the boiler when to come on, this end switch. So if your boiler's not coming on and your zone valves are actuated, just make sure, you know, take your wires off and make sure you have continuity between this and this, but make sure your wires are off. So zone valves aren't that hard. They're just like I don't know, it's a motor and a switch. That's all it is. So a lot of people have problems with these for, you know, if you don't really work on them that often, you know, some guys seem to have issues with them, but they're very simple parts. Notice there is a third wire here, or a third terminal, and that's THTR right there. And let's unplug this right here. So if you look at the back of the terminal strip, back here, that's THTR right there, and there's no wire going to it. So basically that terminal is dead. It doesn't do anything, and that's just there for jumping power from wherever. Say if I wanted to, I don't know, I don't ever use that terminal. Not very often. Guys use it just to land wires on and jump power from here to wherever. I don't know. Some people have different ways of wiring these valves up, but the simplest way is just like what I said. This daisy chains over here, from here to here, and to the next one if you had another one, and this would connect to your TT terminal on your boiler or aquastat relay. And this is what tells the boiler to fire, is this end switch. It's not the thermostats or the motors. So let me kind of take the valve body apart. I'll show you the insides of that. Okay, these are 5/16 screws, and you notice they got studs across from each other, and this is where the valve head screws onto, is right here and here, and these are 5/16. On the old valves, basically the screws on the head held everything in, but on the newer valves, within the last couple years, they're separate, so I can just change the head out. But if you look here, there's not much to it. It's just a ball that swings back and forth in the body. That's all it does. And it just blocks flow to one side. That's all it does. Very simple operation. And the motor doesn't turn, but maybe a quarter turn. Not very much. Yeah, it's maybe a quarter turn off that, fully open. So that's it for these Honeywell V8043F1036. Just a little informative video, kind of a teardown, you know, figure out what's inside of it. Simple zone valve, little motor, and an end switch, or normally open contact. Alright guys, like and subscribe.